Okay, so thanks for coming. I know most of you are here because of Hugh, and I'm going to join these friends lately. Wanted to get in the room. My name is Dave Del Tordo, and I'm here representing the Cryptorights Foundation, which, if you're not aware of it yet, I hope you will be soon, and I hope some of you will become members. We are the world's, at this point, the world's only human rights security group made up of hackers and cyberpunks and stuff like that, who do the kinds of things that we like to do in the service of human rights groups, non-governmental organizations, war crimes investigators, those kinds of people. So I came to HAL for a couple of reasons. One was, to participate and be here, like I've been here in the last couple of, the hit and the one before. And another was to make sure that everybody here heard about us and had the opportunity to join up and to participate and volunteer and support us in some way. You're absolutely all welcome to call me up, send me an email and say, hey, I have this thing I want to do and I think it fits what Cryptorights does, and can we work together? Please do that. That's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we are and who we are and why we do this. I think it's pretty obvious to most of you why somebody like a cyberpunk would want to go and work for human rights groups. But I will explain what the hack is here, because Cryptorights was originally sort of conceived as a sort of hack on the political and technical situation that existed about 3 or 4 years ago. Let's see here. While I'm talking, I'm going to start bringing up my little video stuff here if I can. I hope I can. I'll be 800 by 600 if you like.
He's not running Linux.
No, it's a real problem with me.
Not at all. Not like me.
I can be running Linux. Give me about 2-3 seconds. Okay, I've got a little slideshow here. I'm just going to sort of put it up on. Okay. So, there were 2 primary reasons for starting Cryptorights, and that is because 2 groups, that is security researchers and security workers and human rights workers, have something that the other one needs and really need help with what they do. So it seemed like a perfect fit, You have a bunch of human rights workers who go out and handle dangerous information, and I say dangerous because it's usually things like witness statements and, whistleblower information, or, inside intelligence on what's going on in the government, that sort of thing, or legal documents, filing papers. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And they do this in dangerous places in the world where they live or where they work. From Amnesty travel around the world, and they go to places like we met them recently in Guatemala to help with a client of ours who's also a client of theirs. And this client is taking statements from people who live in the countryside of Guatemala who can't read, can't write, have no electricity, no running water, and they just live in a little village up on the top of a mountain. And about 20 years or so ago, some soldiers came in, and because of, I don't really understand it, some political reason, they shot a couple of hundred people, cold blood, burned the bodies, raped the women. I mean, it was just a terrible thing. We've recently lived through this sort of thing in Bosnia, and this is another thing I'll talk about later. But this is serious stuff. These are people who are hurting other people. So these lawyers, our clients, are collecting this data so they can file charges of war crimes against the leadership of the country at the time. Now, this information stored in these computer files, for example, where would you rate this on a scale of importance to humanity? I put it pretty high up, 9 or 10, because it means justice for somebody. So we have a duty, I think, to take our skills that we all have. A lot of you here are very talented with computers, You know something about cryptography, network security. We have a duty to take these skills and go out and do something useful in the world. It's great to hack, capture the flag contest. But I'm talking about the real thing here. This is the real thing. This is what intelligence agencies do in the service of governments. Now you have the opportunity to do it in the service of your friends, your family, the rest of the people in the world. These slides don't seem to follow very well because they don't. Because I'm getting up on a little rant here. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so on the flip side, you have this other group of society, namely us, and we have all these skills, and we have people telling us, no, I'm sorry, you can't publish that paper because it talks about a weakness in our company's intellectual property. Okay. I'm not okay with that idea. How many people here are okay with that idea? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. Well, the point is that there's a whole community of people in the human rights and activism area who know how to talk about these things in public. They know how to talk to the right people in the government. They know how to lobby. They know how to be advocates. They know how to be activists. Some of us are okay at that stuff, but these people have been doing it all their, professional careers. They know how they have contacts in the media, in government, etc. And strangely enough, once it becomes a matter of protecting the information that they handle for these witnesses and other people, suddenly they get it. Wow, this cryptography stuff, this network security, this is actually useful to us. So let's go help these people who do this kind of work. Because somebody's telling them that they can't help us. We want to put in a wireless network for a couple of the human rights groups in downtown Guatemala City. How many people here think I'm going to use web for that? Yeah, the same number as raised their hand before. Exactly my point. It's not going to happen, right? Because I'm not going to trust that kind of data to that kind of protocol. And in fact, it's a very serious issue, as you all know. The academic right to do research on security. And it's even beyond academics at this point. It's a matter of if companies and governments are going to get together and put protocols out into the world like DES, or algorithms and protocols and 802.11 web, etc. If they're going to do that sort of thing and they're going to tell us that they're protecting our security, well, I think we have the right to go and check that, don't we? So we need some help with that, very clearly. So that's what cryptorights is about. That's what we do. We take, these very basic groups that need each other's help and we put them together. Okay, so one of the arguments that I make, and this is what the slide is about, is about the fundamentals of democracy and how the atom of that system is a secret. Secret ballot. You can't redesign your government in privacy, and freely do so, unless you can keep that one little secret, which is who you voted for. If you want to keep it a secret, you should be able to keep it a secret, and you should be able to vote, pseudonymously or anonymously or whatever. You should be able to do that. So the molecule, of course, is voting, and then you have free expression and you have liberty and privacy, and they're all based on this atom. And as we go out and do this work with the cryptorights teams in the field, we find out about these other particles of democracy: witnessing, being able to say, hey, I saw something bad happen, and I think that guy over there should, go to jail or be made to answer for what he did. Whistleblowing, the same kind of thing as witnessing. It's just done with companies. It's a slightly different word, but it means the same basic thing. And you have human rights. For example, I happen to think that it's a human right for a society to control its police. Now, in Guatemala, there's a group, that's all they do. They're trying to bring the police and the military back under civilian control. I mean, what a concept, right? Well, think about how much control we have over our military and our police here in the Netherlands, where I live in San Francisco.
When the cops riot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard to maintain control over that element in society because they have guns, and they will shoot you if they don't like you. And, they say that they won't shoot you if it's not legal to shoot you, but, how how many newspaper stories have you seen in the last 2 months about somebody getting shot accidentally by the police? So the point is, all these things lead up to freedom of expression, academic freedom. These are all smaller versions or, more core values that express our right, for example, to do security research. We're checking up on the people who tell us they're protecting us. So crypto rights is about these meta rights. It's about making sure that secure things are really secure. And we have to do this work, everybody here, because your mothers and fathers and your brothers and sisters don't use computers the way you do. They don't know how they work. There are very few Hugh Daniels in the world. You have to take a resource like him. You have to put him.
I hope there's only one.
That's right. There's only one. As far as there could be only one.
Don't lose your head over there.
Right. Okay. Funny you should ask. Nice segue. Thanks, Deborah. So communications, email, IRC, all these different protocols, SSH, web, blah, 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 all this basic stuff. People tell us, oh yeah, it's secure, don't worry about it. All this PCS phones, what we call GSM phones in California. Oh yeah, nice, secure, authenticated, don't have to worry about it, can't be cloned. Bullshit! Excuse me. I know the guys in Berkeley that broke your little protocol. Excuse me very much, but when you zero out the top 10 bits of your 64-bit key, that's a pretty fucking lame key. I mean, John Gilmore and his team did the deep crack thing on a 56-bit DES, right? So 54 bits is even more trivial. So, yeah, exactly. So then you got publishing tools, internet stuff, websites, electronic newsletters, that sort of thing. All this stuff needs to be protected. And we have challenges in the security area and in doing our work as crypto rights volunteers for these groups. Authentication is a huge problem. I'm beginning to talk to people at the War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. I've been there once already. I'm coming back this coming week. We think of authentication as a fairly simple thing, but if you think about it, if you collect 2.8 million pieces of evidence from just Bosnia and Herzegovina, that's a lot of information to go through. And how do you know if it's the real stuff that you got from the guys in the field? Where's the signature, the timestamp? It's not there. They rely on very basic, very archaic chain of custody. I hand it to this guy, he signs a piece of paper or something like that, he hands it to another guy, this guy puts it in a box, it stands on a runway at an airport for about 17 hours, nobody sees it, if somebody walks up behind it, we don't see what he does, this kind of thing. And then it gets put in the archives, and you don't have people necessarily guarding the archives with guns, right? So somebody could come in and pull out a piece of paper and erase a name or something like that. So now that they're beginning to convert into digital evidence, and they're looking at lots and lots of digital video and digital still images and this sort of thing, audio tape recordings of witnesses, all this stuff, they have to start thinking about authentication of evidence. So we're working on that. Anonymity and veronymity, these are different aspects of being pseudonymous or being anonymous. And this is an important thing. We have electronic challenges. We need to be able to have people who are former colonels in militaries in some South American countries be able to send anonymous email. And how many people here have ever used a remailer?
Whoa.
Very high percentage. And usually when I ask this question, it's like one guy in the back end.
Within the last year.
Yeah, right. Okay, within the last one. So, point is, if you've ever used a remailer, they suck, right? They suck. They're not usable by the average computer user. I'm sorry. If you're a Windows user, forget about it. And then you've got traceability problems. Not only the good kind of traceability, but the bad kind of traceability. Like you want to be able to trace the source of the evidence back and be very correct and authenticate and all that stuff. But you also don't want to be traced in some situations. You want witnesses to be able to report anonymously. And of course, the granddaddy of problems, the secure communications problem, because that relies on things like public key infrastructures, integration of security tools with mail tools. The list goes on and on. Usability, Huge problem. Now, everybody here is probably pretty good with PGP and stuff like that. I've been using PGP since I was a volunteer in 1991. So I'm pretty good with it now. I can use it on multiple operating systems. I can move my keys around from place to place. I know how to store my keys securely. I keep my keys, in this thing. And please reinsert the PC card now. Oh. Well, anyway, so he doesn't like me now. He says, "You're not Dave." You see, this is what I'm talking about. So, no. See, operating systems, exactly what he's talking about. They suck. All of them. I'm sorry, I really hate computers now. Now that I'm going out in the field, and I'm working with people like actual human beings who have hands and feet and eyes and sit at desks and worry about people leaving headless corpses on their doorsteps and stuff like that. I can't fuck around with operating systems anymore. I needed to do something simple. I need it to work. I don't need it to yell at me when I pull the wrong card out. So interoperability, huge problem. Language, enormous problem. I don't need to tell a European audience that language is an issue, right? Anybody here from Spain? Yeah, you see, my buddy here from Spain. Okay, we went down to Guatemala several times this year. We taught classes on PGP. It turns out, I didn't know this, but Control A on a Windows machine in the United States is select all. What's Control A when you use it in the Spanish operating system? Well, yeah. Well, no, it's something like open a file like I've been or something. Yeah, yeah. So, we're teaching this class to these poor, unfortunate people who are going, wait, you told me to control it. And, PGP, Network Associates, NetAS PGP, Network Associates PGP, has like these built-in, keyboard shortcuts. Well, they don't think about what it might be in a different language. You can run PGP under the Spanish language operating system, but when you go Control A, it doesn't open a file, or it doesn't select all, it opens a file. So this is a huge problem because the scripts and things that they build into the product, they don't think about this stuff. They need feedback from people like us to go out and go, this doesn't work. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I don't even know what it is, but I'm absolutely convinced you're right. So access, this is another problem. We can't necessarily solve this problem, but one of the things we can do is when there is access, we can secure it, and availability, of course. That's something, availability of services, for example. You try to get a DSL line in Guatemala. Okay, good luck. As a matter of fact, I will tell you a funny story if I have the time, and when you're trying to make the time. I'm not gonna go into crypto tools. I'd be wasting my breath on this audience. You guys know what I'm talking about. Crypto tools, secure communications, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we go down to Guatemala and we bring down this little prototype. You can see this is one of the things we've done. This is our Hi-Fire project. It's Human Rights Firewall, HIGH Fire. The idea is to build smaller and smaller and smaller firewalls that we can build into very anonymous-looking little black boxes that we can bury inside walls. That we can put, that we can put the power inside the wall, or we can make it look like a bump on the outside of the building or something like that. And we can give it a wireless connection to a server, that's maybe bolted to the inside of a car somewhere a few blocks away. Now, you have to understand, their threat model in Guatemala is very different from your threat model. Okay, this is a big part of you guys becoming part of this work and understanding what it is we're doing. If you went home tonight and you were worried that there would be a little red X spray painted on your door in the middle of the night, or that pictures of your children would appear under the door, in an envelope unmarked, or that there would be literally, I'm not joking now, a headless corpse on your doorstep in the morning when you came out to get your morning paper, or that people are going to break into your office, beat you up with big sticks, and or shoot you with guns and take your computers away, well then, this is a very different kind of threat model. Not in Guatemala. In Guatemala, you don't need a warrant right now because of something that we did with one of our clients down there to charge the leaders with war crimes against humanity. As soon as we left in early June, military law came down. as soon as these charges were filed, suddenly there was an outbreak from one of the prisons. 60 mass, murdering people were suddenly walked out of some prison in the middle of Guatemala. And of course, you had to shut down the whole country, right? You can't have these murderers and criminals walking around without the police being everywhere, stopping people. They don't need to wear a uniform. They don't need to give you an explanation. They can arrest you and they can take you to jail. They don't need to tell you why, and they don't need to tell you how long they're going to keep you there. How would you like that kind of a threat model where you live? Well, I wouldn't. So that's why I'm trying to work now to make sure that this kind of threat model doesn't exist anywhere in the world. And it's a big job, I got to tell you. I'm not going to solve it in my lifetime. I'm not going to solve it in any of your lifetimes. None of us is going to solve this problem. This is going to go on for a long time. But we have to start now. We've had 10, 20 good years of public key cryptography, security work, the internet exploding in terms of importance to the world. All of us are doing reasonably well. We've had nice jobs at different companies, or we've done school at university, we have lovely equipment, all stuff. Time to pay the world back. I appreciate that. I know you guys feel in the heart, and in the head about this the way I do. It moves me very much when I see these people. I mean, it's, I'm gonna cry if I think about it too much. It really bothers me. And it has to bother you to be able to get into this work. You have to feel that fire in your gut. You have to say, I'm going to take all my Linux hacking skills and I'm going to go and I'm going to help these cryptorights guys to build a human rights version of Linux that has security layers that will connect all these groups to each other over IPsec pipes. Or, hey, I know how to do Blakely Shimmer key splitting. I'll implement it in OpenPGP with these cryptorights guys. We're going to do these things. You watch. We're doing them now. We're getting started. If you want to help, I'm up and help. Suppression of access, suppression of crypto, centralizing, regulating, controlling, and suppressing, and using surveillance and interception on you. Not just these human rights groups, but you. Now, if you think it's bad for you, you think about how bad it is for people in Guatemala doing this kind of work, these lawyers and different human rights workers. Oh my God. You just have no idea. Nice public square in the middle of a lovely little town in Guatemala. Police everywhere. They walk up to these people because they're wearing traditional Mayan clothing. You gotta understand, almost 2/3 or maybe 3/4 of the population of Guatemala is Mayan, indigenous Mayan Indian. They don't even have a vote. They have no representatives in the government, maybe one now, I think. And one woman. They don't have a vote. You wonder why Rigoberta Menchú won the Nobel Peace Prize a few years ago, because she was the first person to come out and say, these people deserve a vote. So we do a class. While that's going on outside, this is what we're doing inside. We've got a room of 20 people, and we're giving a talk. This is how PGP works. We talk about the math. It's trapdoor-only functions. They're very smart people. These are very well-educated people, these lawyers and stuff like that. Just because they've never used crypto or security stuff doesn't mean they don't want to try. They know they need it now. They're asking. They call us. We're getting referrals now from people in non-governmental organizations in the U.S. who say, I just got a call from somebody in Peru. They're starting this truth commission. They need some help. Can you help them out? Absolutely. When can I fly down? I've got nothing better to do. This is just an example. This is one slide. Obviously it doesn't show the faces of people involved, but it's just so that you can understand this is the kind of thing that we talk about when we give them soup to nuts, as we say. From the very beginning all the way through the end, this is how it all works. We do the non-technical presentation with people who don't want to know about it, the heads of the organizations, and for the technical people we do this kind of stuff. We talk about, the format of the PGP message, and it's really not that hard. It's not rocket science. These people get it, Oh yeah, lock with 2 keys. Makes sense. So, asymmetric, 2 keys, okay, I get it. So you tell somebody that it's 4,000 times slower to do, an RSA operation than it is to do, an IDEA operation, and okay, use that for that. We can do data encryption with this faster thing. Makes sense. This is just a little image I threw in. It's a little poem. Maybe you can translate it for us because I don't really speak Spanish very well. Can you see that at all? No es únicamente.
Not only the desire, the wish of justice,
Right. For the hope for
the
peace.
hope for peace and the love of women, for the tender of the heart, is also the sword, the warmth of the solidarity,
These are good people. We've got to help them. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional when I think about this stuff because I've been down there working with them, and these people are faces to me now. You know, like you guys are faces to me. I come back 4 years later and I see these same faces, and I really appreciate you guys coming. I want you to know that. I have some T-shirts here. I brought them all the way from California. I'd appreciate it if somebody would become a member and take one so I don't have to carry them all back home with me. You can do that anytime this afternoon after it's here or whatever. But right now we have about 15 minutes left. I could talk a lot about a lot of different things, but I want to hear what you guys have to say. So ask me some questions. Let's talk about this. Yeah.
What are the kind of people you need right now?
Okay, what are the kind of people we need right now? Excellent question. Thank you very much. I'll slip you $5 billion later for that one.
What do we
need right now? Okay, so this Blakely Shamir key splitting thing is going to be very important. Obviously, a lot of the high-level PKI stuff that we want to do for these groups, like Amnesty, Human Rights Watch, the War Crimes Tribunal, people in The Hague, Human Rights Internet. We have lawyers and human rights workers in Palestine and Israel who want us to set up a secure conferencing system. We need to be able to lock things and be able to split some keys as part of this PKI, some of the root keys that we use to authenticate things. We're trying to indoctrinate all of these groups in the use of how can I put it, the PGP trust model, the web of trust, rather than hierarchically oriented trust models like X509 for obvious political reasons, okay? This is not a technical reason anymore. Get off of that layer, okay? You're in the political and the religious layer now, So you need to be thinking about trust models that fit the way people work. And the way that these people work is they work in loose work groups that sort of have contact in various different ways. So the kind of people we need right now is people who understand stuff like that, okay? If you know how to implement stuff and you want to help me work on an RFC, great. If you want to come, and support us. If you know about hardware fabrication, we're building these firewalls and we're trying to make them smaller and smaller. I mean, it's pretty obvious why we want to do that, right? We want to fit it inside something that looks like a brick. We're literally going to take a brick, cut it in half, put a firewall inside it, have the wires run out very subtly, go through the wall, that sort of thing. I mean, it sounds like James Bond stuff, but it's a real need.
It is James Bond stuff. We're all doing science fiction.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is where, the rubber meets the road. This is where you get to be a little bit James Bond. We need people, I have an org chart. I should put that up on a slide. We have need for people, we have two directorates, okay? We have the research and the operations directorate. The research directorate is for people who want to do crypto research, who want to write papers on exploits. The thing that Doug Song, the solar designer, did yesterday. Man, I wish I had guys like that around. Doug, are you here?
He's kind of like,
Well, that's right. I'm sorry, he's doing it now. I want to get him. Okay, that's the kind of work we need. We need people who can demonstrate the value of breaking security protocols to show why it is that we do what we do and to protect the human rights workers from using those protocols until they're fixed. That's the kind of people we need. Any more?
Hardware.
Do we need hardware? Yeah, we take hardware donations. Actually, John Gilmore has been really great. He gave us a little Japanese open block server. We used it for this. I forgot this slide, but we used it for that firewall we did in Guatemala. It's just a prototype. We had Japanese documentation. Come in aside, yo waru kuminata. My Japanese is pretty bad now, so I can't translate the whole manual. If you can translate Japanese, manuals, you can help us that way. But no, we need hardware fabricators, people who understand how to go through all the jumper positions, figure out how the fucking thing can boot off the disk instead of off this hardware, ROM. We would love to have hardware donations. We need stuff that works because we have to turn it around quickly, and obviously we have limited staff. If you know people who are, who've done very, very well in the stock market or in business or something like that, and they want to donate money, those are donations that are very useful to us right now. We've had a few people from Europe who've been extremely generous, and from the States. We are almost finished. We have about another 3-4 weeks to wait for the tax people in the United States government to say that we're officially a nonprofit foundation, so that you can donate money to us and get a tax write-off in the States. Eventually, we want to start cryptorights Europe. Okay. Very seriously, we have, inside this research directorate I told you about, we have research, we have software research, we have crypto research, software research, and development and integration. Mostly we want to integrate things that already exist, obviously. Hardware, fabrication, and documentation. If you have any skills in those areas, there are definitely things that you can do right now to help us out. And you can do it from the comfort of your home. And if you ever want to come with us to a place like Guatemala or Peru or Middle East or Sri Lanka or East Timor or any of the places that people are starting to ask us, could we please come and help them? Let me know. We'll arrange for you to have a plane ticket. You can come and spend 4 or 5 days with us. You can meet some interesting people, and we'll make sure that it's a safe environment. You're not going to get shot at or anything like that. We want to work with the UN guys. We'll be going in with blue helmets.
Here you promised James Bond.
Well, James Bond's no idiot.
Night word.
He does not want to get shot at. It's the director of the movie that wants him to get shot at. He doesn't want to get shot at. Web address, sorry, yeah. Cryptorights.org. Let's see. Hey, nice Microsoft product. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. Is this working? You must go to the beginning. If it ain't broke, fix it. Yeah, okay, I'll go through the whole thing. I'll get it back up, but please, another question. Did I answer that one? Hardware donations? Yes. Good. Very helpful. Like right here, all this stuff was donated. All the time that went into making this, we had 5 guys work on this project. They each put in about 10 or 15 hours to figure out how it was done. Okay, there's this. Question? That's the hand.
Well, I first have comment that, that we're running this in-house platform thing, and today I think that there's a big need to deploy technology for an observability, more in ethnography. I mean, all these kind of people that want to have privacy in this kind of environment, they stand out of the crowd so often. So basically, in Latin America, the level of knowledge about computers is extremely low. You compare what you have in Europe. So suddenly you find PGP messages traveling IPsec tunnels, VPNs, or Freedom Network.
Let's go beat those guys up.
And all this kind of traffic, suddenly say, hey, I'm here, I want privacy. So I think that it's lots to be done to have ethnography gateways, one box that you put at the end of your local network, in your non-profit, or your human rights group, and in some way that box takes care of putting the traffic in the right place in a not very clear way.
I cannot agree more. This is a huge problem. China.
So it means keep using Usenet, spread it further.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. We have set up, for example, for our work in Latin America, we set up a help address that in Spanish language where all they have to do is send an email to a remailer, and it will take the email and package it and get it to us. Now, it travels in the clear between their email program and wherever our address, but it's a beginning, and they sort of the mechanism really easy for them. We'd like, for example, to run something like a Freedom Node or a series of Freedom Nodes as part of the Freedom Cloud. Participate in that sort of work. So if somebody knows about that and can help us with that would be great. The guys, the Hill brothers and Ian Goldberg have long since offered, sure, we need some software. So we need facilities, we need co-location, we need people who can help us with our website. We have a terrible website. It's horrible. In fact, it's almost become a joke now that we want it to be bad so the intelligence agencies won't really know what we're up to. But it's because we just don't have enough people. We actually found a guy recently to help us with it. He's great, but he can't generate content. You guys can generate content. Write an article. we're trying very hard to start a little newsletter. We have a lot of great plans, but what we really need is people, breathing, beating hearts and hands that work. Yes? I don't know this particular one, but we do definitely have. Yeah, I don't know this particular one. If you think I should know them, please talk to me afterwards. I'm very happy to. Yeah. That would be just me or. Okay. No, I don't. Tell me about it later. But I know about Cryptopolis in Spain. That's a great group, actually. The guy there has been really good about offering to help us. He's got PGP tutorials in Spanish, and we're trying to cannibalize that and make it into our own training program. We have various groups that we're very friendly with and that we would love to partner with. And it's just a matter of us having the kind of money that they have so that we can go to the same places that they go to. I mean, I got to Hal here on almost no money, So I was lucky to be able to fly to Sparta and do this thing because it really wasn't in the budget. I just have frequent flyer miles, so I just used to just kind of be able to do it. So yeah, definitely would like to network with people. In fact, we'd like to have a person in the organization whose sole duty was to network with people and bring them and talk to us. So it would be great to have somebody who knew about fundraising. I'm just learning about it myself. I'm the executive director, but I'm really just a geek that goes out in the field and teach classes and work on software and hardware stuff. So that would be really useful, actually. Anybody else? Yeah. Well, Amnesty International is one. We've recently started working with them. I mean, it took 5 years. I tried for 5 years to get people in the Amnesty to say, oh yeah, crypto's great, yeah, come and teach us. When I worked at PGP Incorporated, I was one of the founding employees of PGP Incorporated. First thing I did, when I had the right to go out and give people software, I went to Amnesty International, A on my list, and I went to their office in New York. I said, here's a package of our software, everything we make. I'm here for 2 days in New York. You just call me. I'm at this hotel down the street. I'll come and train however many people you want me to. They never called me. It turns out that there was somebody in the at maybe the highest or next to the highest ranking Amnesty who said, no, crypto is bad because it makes us look like spies. And this used to be a big problem, actually. But this person recently left Amnesty International, so now they are just turned around 180 degrees. They're like, when can you come? So it depends on the community. We want to have a conference, for example, called CIPHER, Cryptography and the International Protection of Human Rights, CIPHR. And I've been trying to get this thing going for about 2.5 years now. The biggest problem that we have is there aren't enough people in the human rights community who have laptops and who understand this stuff who would go to a conference like this. So I took, I set my expectations down. Now, we're going to have some kind of small conference, maybe in the Netherlands, maybe sometime next year. 10 people, 20 people, I don't care, as long as somebody comes. And the people who come take messages and useful information back to their groups. Same thing we did in Guatemala. A friend of ours down there said, come down and help our group out, and we'll get a bunch of other people who come to your training class too. And it just exploded. It was geometric expansion on this. It was amazing. Suddenly we've got 50 contacts. Suddenly we're getting phone calls from Mexico and Costa Rica and Peru and all these places. These people really need some help, and they're just now beginning to come out of the woodwork because it's getting so bad for them that they're getting a little bit desperate, and they're starting to reach out and say, somebody come do this. And cryptorights is, I'm sad to say, cryptorights is the only group in the entire world right now. We look into it, try and find another group that does this, doing human rights security. Some of these big human rights groups don't even have an internal security person. They don't have an information security officer. They don't even know what that is. I talked to the guys at the War Crimes Tribunal in The Hague. They have an information security officer. This poor guy has to deal with three different groups in the same, triangular building in Den Haag. They all use different operating systems. They all use different mail programs. They don't even, they standard on Microsoft products. They don't use PGP. It's a mess. It's an IT nightmare. So, you pick a spot and we can begin working. Anybody else? By the way, I'd just like to point out that there is, oh yeah, questions, Stephanie.
In which part do you see that the information got from the recent attacks, the Palestinian terror from Israel, are part in the death of Palestinian leaders?
That's a very interesting question. I will confess that I don't have any specific knowledge about that situation. It sounds like you know more about it than I do, to be honest with you. But I will tell you this. This is what I know. Okay? There are two people in the San Francisco area where I live who work with Palestinian and Israeli human rights workers and lawyers. They have a legal institute and various types of things. And these people really want to start talking to each other. Here's an interesting problem for you guys to solve, okay? You have two groups of people doing the same kind of work in two countries that are essentially at war with each other. Now, the governments in each of these countries say, no, I'm sorry, you can't talk to the other side. It doesn't matter if you're a human rights worker. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer and you want to discuss the legality of the 5 people that we just shot or rocketed to death or something. Sorry, you can't talk to them. So these people came to me and said, can you set up a way where we can send email to each other and have maybe an online conference and get in, 20, 30, 40 people to talk about these issues? Like, what is legal? Does this violate principles, held by the UN? Does it violate UN, sanctions? Does it violate, world law? Does it violate common sense, and basic human rights? They want to be able to talk about this. The problem that they have is their governments won't let them do that. And here's the twist, their neighbors have been known to beat them up, shoot them, and or kill them if they find out that they're talking to people on the other side. Okay? There's a threat model for you. Okay? Maybe you want to have a wireless connection, but there's some guy in the Mossad who's driving around with a radio direction finder truck, and he's looking for you, and you're fucked, man. If he finds you, you are fucked. And the PLO, same thing. PLO has some pretty talented people in their computer security department, just like the Israeli military does. So there's a nice little threat model for you guys to solve. Come and work with me on that one. How do you set up a conference for those people so that they can talk to each other? How do we set up a web server for people in China who the Chinese government does not want to be able to tell us things about, they're flooding rivers and driving out hundreds of thousands of peasants from their homes where they've been living for hundreds of years. How do we protect that information so it can't be put up? We have ideas about this stuff, like eternity server systems and stuff. This is not new technology. We're just taking things that cypherpunks like Hugh and John and others have been working on for years and years and years, and we're trying to put it into service. This is the point where all these great ideas, somebody says, okay, show me. I would like to use that. Remailers, great concept. Onion routing, super, love it. Looks great on paper. Show me how to make it work. So, show us how to make it work.
Without 5 hours of configuration.
Without what?
5 hours of configuration.
Yeah, right. Well, that's also true. Yeah. Actually, we'll spend the 5 hours doing it as long as they don't have to do it.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
if they have to do it, it's like somebody said to me the other night, you need an emergency plan. We're talking about the NSA. I think it was Olaf said this. It says, in the middle of the night when something goes wrong, you don't want to be inventing new things. You want a checklist. You want to know exactly. You want to pull out your little cryptorights manual, or have a phone number that you can call. And I tell these people, call me day or night, anytime, 24/7, 365. Doesn't matter. Wake me up. I don't care. I'll get a little sleep after you call me. Don't worry about it. And these people, they need a checklist. They need to know exactly what to do. Push the panic button, pull the wire out of the wall, whatever it is, the appropriate response for whatever's happening. And ideally, if the server is in a little car parked a few blocks away, and these guys, break into their office and start beating them and saying, "Where's your server?" They can point at some, disastrously ugly-looking piece of, obnoxious, compact, stuff sitting in the corner. Yeah, there it is. And then they can send those guys away with that thing. It's completely useless, of course. Probably won't even turn on. But, it's great. Take that. Don't beat us up. Just take that. And the real stuff is down the street, in a car that gets moved around every day. This is one scenario, but, there's several others. So, Any other questions? I think I have to finish up. It's the next speaker here. I'll get out of the way. I'll keep talking. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, you know.
This
Yeah,
conference you just talked about,
Cypher Conference, yeah.
that might take place next year, the details is on your webpage then.
The details will be on our website. By the way, our website is going to change dramatically in the next few weeks. It's horribly ugly now, and it has almost nothing about what we're doing. But we actually found a guy. He has now completed a very nice website. So it'll go online as we start putting content into it. So that will definitely be one of the things on the website. And probably for now, it'll be like send email to this address if you want to help us out. This is the basic idea. Cryptorights.org, yes, .org. And actually, the conference site is cipher.org. It's CIPHR, Cryptography and the International Protection of Human Rights.org. Okay? So it has its own website, but there's nothing there right now. Actually, there may be a placeholder. There's probably a placeholder with an email address you can place. So if you are interested in that and you want to help us do the conference, I would love to do it in the Netherlands. I used to live here for a little while. I love this country. Thank you. It's $35 US for .com people, and for .edu people, it's $20 US, which is like $45 to $50, something like that.